Level 1. $0. Your account balance is $6. This is not savings. It's your entire financial world. $6 and a salary that vanishes before it's received. 11:47 p.m. You're checking again. You checked an hour ago, but you check regardless. The figure remains unchanged. It won't budge until Friday. Rent consumed half, and the phone bill took the remainder. The last $40 evaporated due to a forgotten subscription, and somehow, this situation recurs. You're not financially depleted by a single poor choice. You're broke due to a multitude of minor decisions that felt insignificant at the time. You consume inexpensive food, rice, eggs, whatever is on sale. You cease purchasing fruit because it spoils. Wasting food, when you're this financially strained, feels like a transgression. You know the precise cost of every item in your kitchen, not due to financial acumen, but because money offers no leeway for carelessness. Your friends suggest outings. You respond with, perhaps another time. You've uttered, perhaps another time, 11 times. They've ceased extending invitations. You didn't register their cessation of asking because you were occupied with calculations. You are perpetually engaged in calculation. Performing calculations while waiting in line at the gas station. Performing calculations while lying in bed. Performing calculations while brushing your teeth. Not complex calculations, but survival arithmetic. If I forego this purchase, I can afford that. If I skip this, I'll make it to Friday. The banking application is the most frequently accessed application on your phone, more so than messaging, more than anything else. You launch it, gaze at the balance, close it, and relaunch it, as if the number might change with persistent observation. You've just incurred a $34 penalty for being poor. This is the aspect that is never explained. Poverty incurs expenses. The charge for insufficient funds is more money deducted from what you lack. You sit on the edge of your bed and experience a sensation that is neither anger nor sadness, merely a heaviness, a low, persistent hum that never fully dissipates. You avoid discussing finances, not out of privacy, but because there is nothing to discuss. Everyone around you is engaged in the same calculations. No one acknowledges it. Everyone pretends Friday isn't the sole significant day. When you have nothing, money is not a tool. It is not an objective. It is oxygen. You are either breathing or you are not. And on most days, you cannot discern which state you are in. Level 2, $500. You are no longer in the negative. For the first time in months, the balance on your screen does not induce chest tightness. However, $500 does not signify security. It represents a temporary reprieve, a single flat tire, an emergency room visit, a cracked phone screen, and you are back to zero. You are aware of this because you have experienced it previously. You have reached $500 on 3 occasions and depleted it each time. This time, you safeguard it as if it were the last of something crucial. You still check your balance each morning, no longer with panic, but out of habit. The panic conditioned you to check, and now you cannot cease. Yet, something has changed. The overdraft notifications have ceased. This silence from your bank feels like your most significant triumph. You purchase groceries, and for the first time in months, you do not tally the total before reaching the checkout counter. You simply place items in the cart, ordinary items, not those on clearance. You select the name brand cereal. You stand there holding it for a moment, as if it signifies something. It does. Not because of the cereal itself, but because of what it represents. You can afford to stop calculating, even if only for this one shopping trip. You establish a rule. Do not let the balance fall below $300. You violate it during the second week. The car required fuel. Laundry necessitated coins. Life demanded its share. You restore it by the end of the month. This pattern of loss and recovery becomes your initial lesson in something you have yet to name: discipline. You are not comfortable. You are not secure, but you are not submerged. And after months of submersion, the sensation of merely floating feels akin to flying. The initial principle? Below $1,000, money is air. You are either breathing or you are not. Level 3, $1,000, 4 digits. You have never witnessed this figure before. You capture a screenshot. You do not share it with anyone, but you retain it on your phone as evidence of a shift. $1,000 feels less like an accomplishment and more like a challenge. Can you maintain it? Can you preserve it? Or will circumstances reclaim it? You establish a rule. Do not let the balance fall below $800. You break it within the first month. An unexpected medical bill. Breaks that could not be postponed. You observe the figure decrease and your stomach sinks with it. However, this time, something different occurs. You rebuild, not within a week and not without difficulty, but you rebuild it. And rebuilding imparts more knowledge than initial construction ever could. You begin to track your expenditures. Not formal budgeting, not spreadsheets, but simple awareness. You notice $7 here, $12 there. A coffee you did not require. A delivery fee you could have avoided. Minor outflows that remained unnoticed when you were submerged. Because when you are submerged, you do not perceive the leaks. You notice them now. Something alters in your demeanor. Not confidence, not yet. But the desperation diminishes. The panic softens. You cease responding with perhaps another time when friends invite you out. You accept once, just once, and you sit at that table, ordering without mental calculations. And for one evening, you feel like a person who does not constantly contemplate finances. You are not secure. You are not comfortable, but you are standing. And after prolonged crawling, standing feels like something you cannot afford to relinquish. Level 4, $5,000. Something shifts in your posture. You do not perceive it. Others do. The panic has vanished, not replaced by confidence, but by its absence. The burden you carried at zero lifts, leaving nothing behind, and that nothing feels like everything. You stop checking daily, perhaps every few days, then even less frequently. The application remains accessible, but it is no longer the first thing you open in the morning. That change alone signifies progress. You cannot articulate it to someone who has not experienced life below $1,000. An unexpected bill arrives, $400 for car repairs, the kind of expense that would have been catastrophic 6 months prior. You pay it, you absorb it. Your balance decreases, but your chest does not tighten. This capacity to absorb a blow without faltering is new. It distinguishes survival from standing. You begin to observe something else. Individuals around you who are still at zero. You recognize it instantly. The hesitation before ordering, the furtive phone check beneath the table, the quick nervous laugh when the bill arrives. You understand that calculation. You used to embody that calculation. You say nothing, but you perceive it. And witnessing it alters your understanding of what $5 truly signifies. It does not imply wealth. It does not imply comfort. It signifies having leeway, room to breathe, room to make a single error without losing everything, room to contemplate the following month instead of merely surviving the current week. You commence reading, not motivational material, but practical guides on how money operates, compound interest, index funds. Terms that once sounded foreign begin to make sense. You open an investment application. You observe it for 2 weeks before committing any funds. When you finally transfer $200 into it, your hand hovers over the button as if signing a permanent document. The second principle. At $5,000, money ceases to be about survival and transitions to being a matter of choice. And choices are what affect transformation. Level 5, $10,000. 5 figures. You have never seen such a sum associated with your name. You contemplate it, not with excitement, but with disbelief, the kind that prompts a double check of the screen. You confide in no one because you are uncertain who would grasp the true meaning of this figure. To most, $10,000 represents a used vehicle. To you, it is evidence that every sacrificed social engagement, every generic brand choice, every refusal, ultimately led somewhere. During the initial week, you check it incessantly, not out of anxiety this time, but for protection. You monitor it as if it were something you meticulously constructed, quietly, fearing that any disturbance might jeopardize it. Something shifts, not concerning money, but concerning time. Not how do I survive this month, but what happens if I continue this trajectory for 5 years? You open a spreadsheet at midnight. The projection is not thrilling. It is simply arithmetic, but it is the first instance where the numbers reveal something other than apprehension. You invest $1,500 in an index fund. The market declines the following day. Every instinct urges you to withdraw. You resist. You allow the figure to remain for a day, then 2, then a week. And somewhere within that stillness, between the urge to react and the choice not to, you learn something no book could impart. Patience is not innate. It is a cultivated skill, and it incurs a cost each time it is exercised. The $500 investment yields $63 in 3 months. It is insignificant. It is everything because you took no action to earn it. It simply materialized. And that minuscule sum fundamentally alters your perception of wealth. The third principle. At $10,000, you cease working for money, and money begins to demonstrate its own capabilities. Level 6, $25,000. You experience stability for the first time in your life. It is applicable to you. Expenses are covered. Savings are accumulating. The emergency fund is a tangible reality. Everything you were advised would be effective is now functioning. And then, one evening, you sit with a calculator and disrupt it all. You project your salary forward. 30 years, same position, similar increments, consistent savings rate. The final figure is acceptable. It is sufficient, but as you gaze at it, something fractures. Not panic, but disappointment. The kind that infiltrates slowly, like frigid air seeping through an undiscovered gap in a window. Your salary has a limit. You simply never looked upwards long enough to perceive it. Every raise is predetermined. Someone in human resources established your peak earning potential before you were hired. You are not ascending. You are on a conveyor belt, and the belt has a terminus. You observe individuals 10 years your senior. Identical title, same workspace, same commute, more upscale vehicles, slightly larger residences. but the expression in their eyes is the same. They exchanged time for security, and it was successful, but it was a one-time success. You do not resign. However, something transforms. Your evenings are dedicated to something else. A supplementary endeavor, not a business, not yet. Merely an activity that generates $300 per month, then $500. You inform no one. You reinvest every dollar, not out of avarice, but because you have witnessed it, and you refuse to construct your life beneath its limitations. Pride in your progress. Apprehension about the distance yet to travel. This internal conflict becomes the impetus for all subsequent actions. The fourth principle. Salary is a ceiling masquerading as a floor. The moment you recognize it, you cannot unsee it. Level 7, $50,000, half of 6 figures. You feel its pull, like gravity finally working in your favor. Your supplementary endeavor is no longer supplementary. It generates $1,700 monthly, sometimes exceeding your primary paycheck. You continue to attend work. You still occupy the desk, but you are not confined by it. You are choosing to be there. This distinction profoundly alters your morning arrival at that establishment. Your money performs an action you have never witnessed before. It generates more money. Your investments yield $2.100 in a single year, independent of your direct efforts. You begin to measure time differently. Every hour dedicated to something that does not grow feels like a depletion. Not wasted, but leaked. You become protective of your evenings, your weekends, your pre-work morning. These hours were once for recuperation. Now they serve as a launch pad. Individuals around you start to notice. Not because you discuss finances, you do not, but something has shifted, and they sense it. They do not comprehend the change. You do not offer explanations, because explaining $50,000 to someone at the $500 level is akin to speaking a language they have not yet acquired. You begin to decline invitations, a weekend excursion that would necessitate credit card use, a round of drinks that would lead to remorse the following day, a loan to a friend who defaulted on the previous one. Number. Each refusal carries a social cost. Each refusal provides a financial benefit, and you have started to maintain a different kind of talent. Now, the fifth principle. At $50,000, you cease expending money to project an image of affluence. You begin to conserve it to eliminate the need for such pretense. Level 8, $100,000, 6 figures. You have crossed a threshold that most discuss, but few attain. And the most surprising aspect is its quietude. No fanfare, no celebration, merely a figure on a screen that once seemed unattainable, now residing there as if it had always been present. The bank interacts with you differently. Inquiries from unsolicited advisors. Correspondence regarding wealth management. Terms like portfolio and diversification are employed as if you have always been part of that world. You have not. 6 months prior, you were searching for the definition of an index fund. They are unaware of this. They perceive only the figure. People also sense it. Not because you inform them. You have ceased discussing finances altogether, but something in your demeanor has altered. The way you no longer flinch at restaurant bills. The way you stop checking prices before ordering. It is subtle, yet people perceive it, and their reactions bifurcate into 2 categories, envy or dismissal. Neither is beneficial. You begin to decline. A destination wedding that would cost $3,000 with no prospect of recovery. A group vacation where you would inadvertently subsidize 3 individuals. A business concept proposed by a friend over drinks who conflates revenue with profit. No. Some months your balance increases by $4,000. Some months it decreases by $3,000. The losses previously caused sleepless nights. Now, it is merely a matter of weather. You have learned to prepare for rain without canceling the journey. Your life does not appear dramatically different from the exterior. The same vehicle, the same residence, the same routine, but beneath the surface, everything has transformed. You are no longer building on unstable ground. You are constructing on a foundation that can bear weight, and the weight you are about to place upon it is something you could not have even envisioned when you possessed $6. Level 9, $500,000, $500,000. Your money now possesses a distinct character. It gravitates towards certain avenues and resists others. One investment has yielded $22,000 in 8 months. Another has incurred a loss of $9,000. You do not panic about the loss, not because you are indifferent to $9,000. You are not, but you now comprehend that this is the inherent cost of participation. You do not retreat. You re-strategize. You engage a professional to manage it. You dismiss them within a year, realizing you understand your circumstances better than they do. You find someone superior, someone who commands a higher fee and communicates less. Your social circle has evolved without your conscious awareness, not drastically, but subtly. The individuals with whom you associate now approach money from a different perspective. They do not discuss expenditures, they discuss returns. The conversations have shifted, the vocabulary has changed, and within that transformation, the people who knew you when you had $0 have begun to feel increasingly distant. Not because you estranged them, the separation occurred organically. You begin to think in terms of assets, not income, not savings, but assets. Entities that generate revenue while you sleep, that grow while you are not observing. Your employment income remains significant, but it is no longer the central element. It plays a supporting role in a narrative that has surpassed the capacity of any single paycheck. The sixth principle. Below $500,000, you acquire assets. Above it, assets begin to acquire other assets. Level 10, $1 million, a Tuesday. There is nothing ceremonial about it. Your application updates. The figure is displayed. 7 digits. You contemplate it. You anticipated feeling different. You expected a greater impact. There is a quiet satisfaction. $1 million at a 4% return equates to $40,000 annually. This is not liberation. It is a starting point. The objective that everyone pursues proves to be a gateway, not a final destination. You pass through it, and the space on the other side is vaster than you had imagined. You cease telling yourself that you will feel complete at the next monetary benchmark, because you said that at $10,000. You said it at $100. You said it at $500. The finish line continuously recedes, not due to avarice, but because the game continually reveals new stages you were unaware existed. Your challenges evolve. They do not vanish. Tax strategy supersedes budgeting. Asset protection replaces saving. Estate planning takes the place of emergency funds. The lexicon of your existence is rewritten. Words you never encountered at $0 now dictate your daily choices. People treat you differently, and you cannot ascertain if they perceive you or the figure. Old friends behave unusually around you. Some subtly solicit financial assistance. Some disappear without explanation. Some remain, but the previous ease is absent. The seventh principle. $1 million does not transform your life. It reveals what your life was genuinely oriented towards. And what you discover on the other side is rarely what you believed you were constructing. Level 11. $10 million. You do not check prices. You do not check your balance. You ceased checking months ago. The figure no longer fluctuates in ways that hold significant consequence. It simply resides there, growing quietly, like a living entity that has learned self-sustenance. Your current challenges bear names you never heard when you had $0. Trust structures, estate vehicles, tax jurisdictions. You enter rooms you previously only read about, not due to fame or connections, but because your capital and pattern recognition are valuable to the individuals already present. This constitutes a different form of invitation, not courtesy, but utility. You make a decision that would have kept you up for weeks 5 years ago. A company you're invested in restructures. 140 jobs, gone. You review the position you hold. The margin improves. Your investment grows. You don't feel good about it. You don't feel bad about it. You feel the distance now. The gap between your decisions and their consequences widened so slowly, you didn't notice until it was already permanent. The isolation isn't loneliness, it's something else. The people who knew you at $6 can't reach your life anymore, and you can't reach theirs, not because you don't care. The context doesn't translate anymore. You give more than you ever have. Not for reputation, because at this level, giving is one of the few things that still feels real. The ninth principle. Above $10 million, money stops measuring your worth. It starts measuring your reach, and reach changes everything it touches, including you. Somewhere right now, a 22-year-old is standing in a grocery store. Their balance is $2.14. They're doing the math. They put the good coffee back. They get the store brand. They think this is a story about money. It isn't. It's a story about the gap between who you are and who you become. The account opens every morning. It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It takes whoever shows up. Consistently, patiently, without flinching. The money compounds, and so do you. The balance is $2.14. It always starts there.